Welcome to the John Cady podcast. I'm John Cady, U.S. Navy retired and former minister. Today I want to continue this topic about spiritual abuse and how it affects people. In particular, I'm going to touch on a very unique aspect of spiritual abuse that involves churches that are located near military installations. A lot of churches that are located near military installations have a very strong outreach focusing the military for various reasons. Of course, there's the spiritual aspect where they want to bring the gospel to our servicemen and women, which is an admirable goal. I strongly encourage, bringing a message of true faith to our men and women who serve this great country. But unfortunately, a lot of these churches also see military members, in particular those who are on active duty, as a cash cow, a source of income. And great steps are taken to make sure that they have this cash flow going. How is this done? When it comes to the outreach to our nation's men and women, some churches will go to great lengths to obtain information about the people they come in contact with, some of which borders on violating operational security. I'm going to focus primarily on the time that I was involved with a particular church organization that was headquartered in Illinois and also had a local congregation in Norfolk, Virginia, where the headquarters is now. In 2007, the main headquarters, the main office, moved from Waukegan, Illinois, which was near the Great Lakes Naval Base, to Norfolk, Virginia, over by Naval Station Norfolk. One of the things that was done was they compiled a list of all the barracks that were located on each of the main military bases. And if a member of the church currently active lived in one of these barracks, it made it very easy for the church to send that individual into the barracks to look up people that evangelistic teams talked to during the week and invited out. Now, when they invited these people out, they would get the barracks name, they would get the room number of the barracks. If it was a ship, they would get the name of the ship, they would get the name of the division where this person stayed, get the extension so they could call down into the bunk compartment or berthing compartment, which is what we called them in the Navy, or if it was an officer, the stateroom number. Great lengths were taken to obtain all this information so they could look people up. Also, if there was a member of the congregation who had access or even worked at the port operations facility, then it was easy to obtain a copy of the ship's listing. Now, what a ship's listing is, it is an unclassified or for official use only document. It could be one or the other. It's been a long time since I was in the military, so I wouldn't know for the exact classification. This document would give the church access to where all the ships were at any given time. And this list was updated on a weekly basis, and the church would ask for a copy of this ship's listing on a weekly basis. Again, it was all in the name of being able to reach out and locate people who were invited to the services, to the fellowship activities. When people were in the church during the services, questions would be asked. They would ask for the status of everybody in the evening before everybody was to go home. Those who were on active duty, we would find out if that person was going to be on duty or if the ship was going out to sea, or if it was another branch of the military, that individual was going to be deployed. A lot of information was kept within the four walls of this organization. The challenge, though, was stumbling across the church's website not being properly secured or firewalled. Because of this, the intranet, which is the in-house internet that is not supposed to be seen by the rest of the public, well, it wasn't properly secure. This meant that anybody, anywhere, could have stumbled across, hacked into the church's website, and gotten all this information. To my knowledge, there was no evidence that any of this information was used for any other purpose than to maintain a listing of who was here, who was going to be looked up, when they were going to be looked up, and how they were going to be contacted. The underway schedules were often used by the church to write letters of encouragement to those who were deployed, and those would come and go depending on how long the people were deployed. The question would be asked, did the church knowingly violate any operational security? In my opinion, I don't believe they did. I believe that they were operating under good intentions. But good intentions, when handled carelessly, can result in serious security breaches. If any of this information had somehow been accessed through a back door or had fallen into the wrong hands via a hacker, the results could have been catastrophic. We've seen enough stuff on the news and even seen enough stuff on various movies and books about what happens when classified information falls into the wrong hands. And we're not talking about just the top secret stuff, but even stuff that would be, for the most part, unclassified, but it wasn't for everybody's consumption. So there you go. We've got good intentions, but it was very carelessly maintained. It was very poorly handled and managed. This could have resulted into some serious security breaches. Had those breaches happened, who would have been held accountable? Would the pastor have been held accountable? Yes, because ultimately it was the pastor who made the decision to have all this information gleaned and stored in the first place. The accountability would also fall on quite a few different service members who unwittingly became a part of the problem because they were acting in good faith in accessing all these materials, all in the name of outreach, all in the name of trying to help people in the military community, and in doing so, set the church up and set everybody else up for an operational security problem that could have very easily blown up in their faces. That would have been a scandal on the same length of the Pete Hegseth issue with using his Signal account for sharing information with the rest of the DoD. I touched on that on a YouTube short a while back. Do I believe that Signal is an acceptable way to share sensitive info? No, because despite its encryption, you can pick and choose who's going to be on there, and there's no oversight involved. The oversight on a DoD platform that is properly recognized and vetted would have prevented all this. And the same thing applies here with this particular church. It poorly handled this information with a lack of oversight, meaning that it could have easily fallen into the wrong hands had somebody found the back doors, found that the firewalls were left open, and could have done some serious damage, not just to the community, but also to the ships and shore commands that were there. This is John Cady. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy this content, hit like, hit subscribe, and I'm looking forward to catching you on the next one.